Hello everyone, welcome back to another video where the team, Quadrant team, Max, Steve and Yashish, who's part of the Yas Heat crew, who were out in Abu Dhabi looking at the new circuit. They went out, did a bit of a recce and have videoed and given me some tips before I go there. We're going to review it, see a sneak peek of it, and they went out there while I was away in Mexico and Brazil and so on. So I didn't get to go out, but they did. So let's see what they have to say.
Not the longest straight in the world at all. It's one of the shorter runs to turn one, actually. Just a few seconds. You already braking there before you even know it, so.
He's actually true. Short run down to turn one. This is testing Max's knowledge of him driving.
It's definitely different on online multiplayer games. You definitely still get a lot of crashes here.
How many times have you been sent into that barrier?
Many times I have ended up in that wall on Forza Motorsport 7. There's always that one guy, isn't there? There's always that one guy.
That guy's normally me.
That's true. Max is normally the guy that takes everyone out. Abu Dhabi, I've always made it through turn one well. I think I've actually ended up off the track a few times, but not in the wall like Steve normally does.
That's how it's done. This car here showing us the racing line.
Turn two, I think.
Turn three.
Turn three.
Oh, no, he's gone wide. He's gone wide. That's not what you want to do. Don't do that.
That's the online multiplayer line when you've been harpooned by someone that's cut the whole track.
That is absolutely true. So we are at turn
Absolutely
three.
true.
Come out of turn one, there's a left-hander turn two, then you've got this long right, up a hill, down a hill again towards the new corner, which we'll get to in a moment, which should be a good overtaking opportunity, so you want to get this one right.
Yeah, this corner's mostly flat in most single-seater cars, so
True.
the hardest thing is following in the dirty air at the start when there's three or four, depends how far back on the grid you are. Cars in front of you, you've got to modulate the throttle with the dirty air.
It's a big word for Max.
Someone's right in front of you.
Modulate.
And yeah, it's all about getting a great exit all the way down into the, well, what was the chicane, then now the hairpin.
Because there's so much elevation change that you don't really see on the sim or on TV. So yeah, it's quite cool.
So we have turn one, turn two, turn three, all old. But now we're going down to turn four, turn five, or actually just turn four, which is the first new part of the circuit.
We're not going left, right through a tight chicane anymore. We're going straight down into a hairpin. Much better overtaking opportunity than previously.
The corner really opens up as you go to the apex, so again I think there'll be a lot of opportunities for overtaking in different lines, so some guys can dive bomb to the apex and do a lot less distance, or you can take the wide line and make sure you get a crazy exit onto the really long back straight. So again, a great corner. I do prefer it to the tight chicane. Was a bit too stop-start for me, and yeah, I think that's to promote great racing and just a bit more enjoyable to drive. So unfortunately we can't go and see the corner, but here's what you would have seen anyway.
So very different actually. This was genuinely one of my favourite parts of the circuit. Like in terms of a qualifying lap, it was very fun, but it did make it very difficult for racing. But it'll be better than just the hairpin that they had before. So I think it's pretty cool. This will probably line up even better than before. The next long straight down to turn 5.
So this is the big braking zone into what is now, what is it, turn 6 now?
It's 5.
So one of the best overtaking opportunities on the lap. Big,
5,
massive straight, which actually looking at it, isn't completely straight. But you've got a huge braking zone into a very tight chicane. So probably the biggest drop of speed, especially now that they've changed the second straight. So a very good overtaking opportunity into here.
Probably where most of the overtakes happen, obviously after a long straight like this with DRS open, overtakes are bound to happen, and heavy braking into here. Quite an important bit of the track. It's quite hard. Late braking, focusing on the exit as well.
You'd think right on TV and on the sim it's completely flat, but it's actually quite steep here. Like if I lay flat like a sausage, I would roll down here. Like that's how quite steep it is.
Did you demonstrate that?
No.
These curves, what are they like to go over?
Oh, he doesn't demonstrate it. You should have demonstrated
I've never touched this curve, because if you do, can I swear?
Yeah?
If you're on this curve, you're f***ed. You've ruined the lap. You're going to get overtaken, or you'll bottom out on this. Like, you should be nowhere near this one. So that's why it's quite.
Do you have to bleed that out on here?
Dusty and unused, because yeah, don't use this.
I think they're using good terminology here. You then know how steep it is. If he can roll down like a sausage, it's going to be quite steep. Because that's one thing you don't really see on TV normally is the angle, like, well, steepnesses up and down in different types of corners. Especially Abu Dhabi. So a lot of what they said is true from what Steve said. Huge braking point. The straight's not actually straight, but it's the best overtaking opportunity. And normally then sets up a good overtaking opportunity after the chicane into the next corner. But that's also changed. So I don't know if that's going to be the case anymore.
So another new corner. So we're coming down the second back straight. Heavy braking into here. Well, not so heavy anymore because it used to be a 90 left.
So you need to do a count of how many times Max moves his mask up, and then within 1 second it falls back below his nose. Because that's all I see him doing at the moment.
Chicane. But now you can see it's this kind of longer banked
Oh, it's
corner.
very different. I do think they've taken away a bit of the technical and like the really difficult part of this circuit to obviously try and make it better for racing and so on.
We still got more to go, it's going to be interesting to see how the lines develop into here. Do you go tight by the apex and hug the corner and do less distance? Or do you go wide and then try to get back to the second apex? And I think it will be the latter for the F1 guys, carrying a load of speed in. Wide, 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 and then getting to that second apex.
The old corners.
Aerial view. Okay, he's right. There's 2 apexes. One very early on, and one very late on after the gantry thing. I think it's slightly banked as well, and it's going to be like 4th or 5th gear from what I've heard. So it's going to be a very fast corner, very tricky actually to get right. But I think Max is correct. It's going to be this late apex.
Yeah, so we're at sector 3 now, just by the hotel. Most of these corners have been reprofiled, so they're a little bit more faster and flowing, and actually makes it a really nice section to drive. I think before it was a bit too stop-start, but now the flow is just so much better with much more open corners.
As a driver, I personally prefer this new layout. We drove it recently.
As a driver, he does.
It just flows so much nicer. It's much better than a tight 90 left where you have to really stop, turn, slowly get on power, and then come back off because there's another 90 left. Now it's just a much wider corner, carry way more speed in, lift a bit, and then get back on power. It just flows, and I think it'll be just much more enjoyable for all the drivers, and hopefully it'll help the racing as well instead of stopping low speed and all bunching up.
Yeah, I agree. It's really a lot more flowing and enjoyable. More than that, I mean, look at the hotel. It's beautiful, you know, especially under the lights, and you got the marina on the other side. These 2 bollards here, I have a tendency to knock them over in the sim, but yeah, let's hope no drivers are doing that.
Taking a lot of apex curves. They weren't like the nicest corners beforehand because they were all off camber. So like this. So when you go apex, basically it's all just downhill from the inside to the outside, which makes it like very low grip. Normally makes it very understeery, which is not a nice thing. Normally you want like camber, so it's more like an uphill as you go through a corner. You might be able to follow closer because it's more of like a single corner rather than these two stop-start corners, like I said. I think in qualifying, it's going to be pretty cool because you're going even faster under the hotel.
Distractions of the sun. So, I know I really personally enjoy driving at night. So we're at the penultimate corner, which has also been reprofiled. It's a bit wider, and after driving it again, it feels a lot nicer than the previous one. You just have to stop it that little less and little less hard work. It's a bit banked in the apex, so you can really tuck into that apex.
Max is wearing jeans. Still prepared already.
If you're in a slower car than F1, keep it flat, you know. So yeah, I really
flat.
Like this corner now.
No
it
chance.
Flows well, and I think they've done a great job of it. Just again, you always have to be careful of these. I don't know what they call them.
Curbs.
Like 2 separate levels of
positive,
curb.
negative curbs here. So if you run a bit too wide, you do get punished. But yeah, so I think it's better than having the sausage there,
rather than having one of those awkward 90s. So I think the F1 driver's going to love it around here.
All corners are awkward for Steve.
The F1 driver.
Just because of the way he drives. So it wasn't awkward for me, just awkward for Steve. Like the challenge of Abu Dhabi before was all of these corners were like 90, so it was always very difficult to get the timings right and the car balance right and so on. Now it seems like it's a just more medium speed and high speed circuit, which actually is good for us normally as a team like for McLaren. So maybe that's a good thing. And I think in qualifying then it also makes it special. Like if you're in a qualifying lap, it's always second and third gear. Like you feel like you just want to go on throttle the whole time. Whereas now it feels like you'll be third, fourth, fifth, sixth a lot more often, which does make it more exciting. You get to feel the speed more. So
let's go to the first place grid marker, just here.
It's where I'm going to be. I'm going to be on pole.
The longest run into turn 1, so you can feel fairly confident
here first.
about staying in the lead.
I'm going to be on pole.
You'd line up.
Because of Steve.
Where would you be? Drive would be about here. Sort of like this. You've got a really good view of the lights.
He's in a long car here.
Else behind you.
I think we're a bit further forward than this, Steve.
I think knowing this track, how it's been before, at least with difficult overtaking, if you know that if you get through turn 1 in the lead, you're okay. But I think this year it'd be a little bit different. So it'd be interesting to see how the drivers take the first lap this time around.
So that's it from Max, Steve and Yashish. As we all know, Steve is a racing driver and he knows exactly what to do when it comes to racing. But what do I think? That's the question. So last year, I think I was P4 in qualifying, or maybe even P3. So it was not a bad circuit for us last year, and it's treated us well. But I think it has gone into a better direction for us. So that must mean we're going to be on pole. It's going to be a much longer race, which is going to be tricky. There's more medium speed and high speed, which makes it physically tougher. So it's going to change quite a bit. I think it will be better for racing, at least I hope so. I think it's going to make it a lot more exciting for you guys watching a race.